Welcome back to another episode of the Even Your Dynasty Show. We are back with our minor league update for the dates of May 27th through June 2nd for last week. Sorry I did not have any video out after the Yankee series, or we didn't have a ton come out last week. We did the minor league update. I went on Dan's NorCal Sports Network with those guys. Subscribe to them if you aren't already. And then the live show on Thursday. I am going to try and get a little bit more content out this week. Just kind of a crazy week last week. But we're going to go ahead and start off by talking a little bit about the Yankee series. Not going to go too crazy on that one. And then we'll, jump forward to the minor league update that everyone's here for. So starting off with the Yankee series, it was disappointing. You want to see them. I said if they could have split versus the Yankees and Phillies, I'd have felt pretty good about that homestand, especially going against teams with two of the best records in Major League Baseball. Is a tough way to lose, all three, really. I mean, they got kind of just outclassed. You can see the big gap in talent between the Yankees and the Giants. That was frustrating. But then to have a game that they really had in their hands and to lose it the way they did in the ninth, and really, it's not even just the ninth. Earlier in the game, there was some questionable pitch sequencing, especially when Eric Miller came in for Blake Snell, where he comes in a 1-1 count, and the first pitch he blows 96 at the letters right past Verdugo, and he throws a slider, which that no issue there. He burns the slider, gets 2-2, and then rather than going fastball again, where Verdugo was way late on, he just throws a hang and hit me slider out there, which I don't agree with that sequence. I think you throw another fastball there up in the zone, try and throw it by him, considering he hadn't proven he could catch up to it, and that was his last strike. That's just my opinion, but you move on. That cost him 2 more runs. So overall, tough series. Now, I see some people that still come out and they're like, oh, the rookies make mistakes. Rodriguez gave up the home run, the walk-off yesterday. Miller's struggles when he first came in with the bases loaded, but I mean, it's a tough situation. And then some of the struggles from guys like Luis Matos. And I'm like, it's not, the young players are not the issue on this team. And I've said this and I feel like a broken record. The issues are that the veterans aren't doing their jobs. You look at the Yankee series and they get swept, and it's easy to point at some of the mistakes a young player made, but no one points to the fact that Matt Chapman went 2 for 12. No one's pointing to the fact that Wilmer Flores went 0 for 8 and Mike Yastrzemski went 1 for 8. We're not pointing to those guys because those guys are veterans. They're going to turn it around eventually, even though they haven't. And that's what's frustrating to me. Meanwhile, you have Casey Schmidt comes up and he goes 4 for 8 with 2 homers and 4 RBIs. Elliot Ramos comes through with a home run and 2 RBI single to give him the lead late in the game. He had 3 RBIs in the game they lost on Sunday. It's just constant. I mean, there are young players that are giving them something. Brett Wisely is playing pretty well. And, I kind of want to pat myself on the back a little bit. I called for him to open, to hit leadoff, and he's had a couple decent games since they moved him up to the leadoff spot. Now, is he going to sustain it? Who knows? But, I'm still going to take my little mini victory lap on that one. And because I know a lot of people were not happy with Wisely earlier the thought of Wisely coming up. And as I've reported on this, he's showing progress and he's showing development and he's doing a good job. So I don't often do that, but I'm going to in that case. So it's frustrating watching this team right now. And then you see a team like the Yankees and the Yankee fans take over Oracle, which is an embarrassment in its own right. But, they travel well. The Giants fans have done that to different parks over the years. But just to see the giant talent disparity, and you see a guy like Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, who clearly these are two of the best players in the game. They go in there and they make Oracle Park look small. And the Giants just don't have anybody that does that. And it's clear that premium power plays just fine in Oracle Park, but the Giants for the last 20 years haven't prioritized getting any kind of premium power in the system. I mean, you look at their system right now, and Marco Luciano and Bryce Eldridge are really the only two guys with premium power in the system. Now, they have a couple guys that have some, really good power upside. Elliot Ramos, obviously, up at the major league level. Victor Barracoto, Jairo Pomares. That these are guys with nice power, but Bishop has a lot of power. It's kind of questionable whether or not it'll play or not. But there's a lot of guys that are, you feel like they could be a 20, 25 homer guy, but they don't have those guys that, you feel confident could be a 30 plus year in and year out guy. There's just not that kind of power in the system outside of Bryce Eldridge and Marco Luciano, but even his playability of his power is in question. He has only one this season, and last season I think he hit about 13 or 14 between Double A and Triple A. So, time will tell on these guys, but it's frustrating because it's very clear that this franchise does not care about it. And which, in my opinion, it's fine if you don't want to sit there and focus on developing big time power guys, but you better have speed instead. And they don't have that either. And that's where the big failure is for me. It's like we're in the 21st century here. Speed and power are the main driving factors for offense anymore these days. Pitchers are nastier than ever. It's harder than ever to string hits together. So you got to find a way to get extra bases and drive guys in. And a lot of that is speed and power. And they are pretty terrible on either end of those spectrums. So that's all I'm going to say really about the Yankee series now. A lot of frustration. Turn the page, get to Arizona. Unfortunately, they lost the first game against Arizona yesterday in kind of rough fashion. There were some positives. Elliot Ramos going deep. Casey Schmidt had another base hit. He's playing really well. I'm going to talk about him probably tomorrow or later this week. We're going to talk a little bit about Casey Schmidt, what we're seeing from him. I think he's showing some things because, as everyone that's followed me knows, I would rather not ever see Nick Ahmed play another game for the Giants. I'm just so over that. But that's me. A lot of people love his defense. I get it. His defense is nice, but I can't watch them just forfeit outs constantly anymore, especially with an offense that's not great. So moving on to the minor league update. This is what you're all here for. So starting off with the Sacramento River Cats, they had a solid week versus the Tacoma Rainiers, who's the Seattle affiliate. They went 4-2 versus Tacoma, and they are 34-23 on the season. They're off to a nice start. Number 2 prospect Carson Whisenhunt went 5 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 79 pitches, 45 for strikes. His efficiency has been much better in recent weeks. He's been able to get through 5 innings pretty consistently. He's keeping the pitch counts per inning down a lot more. So he's doing a good job. And got touched up, had one inning. He had a back-to-back. I think he actually got 2 outs in the inning and then gave up a triple and a homer back-to-back. So that was the main damage in this outing, is what it is. But changeup still plays really well. Obviously it's elite. The fastball, it's improving, especially his command with the fastball. Doesn't feel like he's just throwing, giving away strikes or, getting behind in every count. That was something that plagued him early in the season where he was constantly working from behind. He's locating the fastball better and getting ahead of hitters. And that way he doesn't just have to rely on people chasing or swinging, missing his changeup. And now the changeup's more of just a, put away pitch. But then conversely, sometimes guys are going to sit on that changeup and he's going to throw a fastball right by them. So his fastball does get up to like 95, 96. So it can play really well, especially with that changeup. But it's all about locating for him. So he's done a good job overall. Not a terrible outing. Number 7 prospect, Mason Black. He is back down with Sacramento, obviously. Now, he may end up getting pulled right back up with Snell going back on the injured list. I know people have kind of feelings on whether or not he can play. I think given time, he'll be fine in the majors. He does need to start attacking the zone a little bit more in the majors. That's something I did notice a lot when he was in San Francisco. It's kind of the prospect that's like afraid to get hit hard. So he's almost nibbling a little bit. And at some point, you just have to trust your stuff and attack the zone a little bit more. I would like to see some more sink on his, because he does throw a sinker, but I want to see a little bit more downward movement so he can get more ground balls in the majors. That was a big thing where he was struggling with. Can't get that double play ball when he needs it. But went down to Sac. First outing, he struggled a little bit, 2.2 inning or 2 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs, 6 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. It wasn't horrible in the sense that had his pitch count not ballooned, he probably could have kept going and salvaged an outing, but he threw 64 pitches in that. It didn't get out of the third. 40 for strikes. So just kind of got knocked around that a little bit outing. He pitched again on Sunday, 4 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, 69 pitches, 42 for strikes. Again, the pitch count got up a little bit, so they didn't put him out for the 5th. He probably could have gone into the 5th, but they really just have not stretched his arm out enough. So I would have liked to see him keep going out, go back out there, but they opted to pull him after 4 in that outing. But he was a lot sharper in that one, and looked more like the guy that I saw in Sacramento for the first month and a half of the season. Number 8 prospect, Reggie Crawford, pitched in 2 games, 2 1/3 innings, no earned runs, had 1 hit, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. The walks are going to be the key for him. If he can continue to throw strikes, I think he'll be just fine. He's going to be up in the majors before long. You listen to Farhan Zaidi talk about him. He really likes Reggie Crawford, and you can tell Farhan is really rooting for him to get up to the majors this season. So, when Farhan has his favorites, you kind of have to expect that those guys are going to get a look at some point this season, because his favorites have gotten looks in the last few years, and it's very clear Reggie Crawford is one of his favorites. So I would anticipate him being up maybe August. It could be September, but I could see him being up maybe as early as like late July or early August if he keeps pitching well. I think they're putting him on about 3 days of rest between outings right now, and so he's pitching every 4th day, and it sounds like they're going to keep tightening that a little bit, because part of the concern for them is getting him into where he can have a normal major league workload out of the bullpen. So we'll see how that goes, but hopefully it would be nice to see him get up to the majors this season. I mean, the Giants could use another lefty power arm. He has, especially his fastball, it's really live. The slider and changeup have good swing and miss in the zone. He doesn't throw enough chase pitches, in my opinion, with those. It seems like he's constantly trying to throw them for strikes, which it's not the worst thing in the world, but I would like to see him be able to, throw a back foot slider on a righty or throw the changeup at the bottom of the zone and have it drop below the zone and get guys to chase that way. When you live in the zone, at some point, major leaguers are just going to sit on strikes and cut loose on them, and then you're not going to get a ton of chase. He gets more chase with his fastball than anything when he gets it up in the zone. Number 11 prospect, Landon Roop. I still don't have any injury update on him. Did not pitch again this week. Number 17 prospect, Carson Seymour. 3 2/3 innings, gave up 1 earned run, 5 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, threw 80 pitches and 47 for strikes. Wasn't his most efficient outing by any stretch. Obviously, when you're throwing over 20 pitches an inning and you don't even get through the 4th, but he was, solid overall. Got a lot of swing and miss. His curveball had some good snap to it. He still throws his fastball mid to upper 90s. Gets a lot of swing and miss on that, especially up in the zone. For those of you unfamiliar with the challenge system, there's actually an example of it in this highlight that I'm posting with him. It's a very cool system. I like it a lot. You'll see they tap their head if they want to challenge it, or they have to challenge it immediately. Challenges can only be initiated from the pitcher, the catcher, or the hitter, and your team gets 3 bad challenges. So if you, kind of like tennis, if you challenge and lose 3 times early in the game, you're out of challenges the rest of the game. If you keep winning, if you keep winning challenges, you get to keep going. So you can get kind of a feel for how quick it actually does operate. It only adds a few seconds, really, because they initiate it, they'll show the graphic, it shows if it was a ball or strike, and they move on. So it's not long. I really like the system. It's something I think would actually improve the quality of umpiring, obviously, at the major leagues, because you'd probably only see challenges early in the game on more egregious misses, because it's not worth risking being out of challenges in like the 3rd or 4th inning. So just my opinion on that. You guys can tell me what your thoughts are as well, but I just thought I kept that whole graphic in there for his strikeout because I wanted you guys to see it. Number 22 prospect, Kai-Wei Tang. 4 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. He continues his streak of outings having allowed multiple runs, though this time he got through 4 and only gave up the 2. So it was a step in the right direction. Still struggling a lot. Still really needs to get the ship righted if he wants to not get DFA'd, in my opinion. Hunter Bishop, he has come crashing back down to earth. 1 for 22, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts. And you're going to see a pattern with the offensive players in this video. Pretty much all of them struggled. There were very few that had good weeks. So unfortunately, that's the reality of it, but we're going to keep running through them. The pitching was the bright spot this last week, and the teams did overall decently. I mean, the system was a game or two under 500. Sacramento was the only one with a winning record, but there were a lot of struggles in the system, especially on offense. Blake Sable, 3 for 22, a double, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, and a stolen base. He got some work over at first base this week, so you're gonna see, you'd see a little bit of that. I think they're trying to get him a little more comfortable, so that way if Lamont Wade is going to be out a while, you may see him and Trenton Brooks flip, which I would not be opposed to. I like Sable's bat a lot more than I like Brooks, but I also don't want a guy that's going to whiff on everything over at first base. Juan Sanchez appeared in 2 games, threw 3 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 1 hit, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Almost an identical line to Crawford, just through 3 innings. He's been really solid all year. He had a big hiccup in the middle where he was like dominant for about 10 or 11 outings, and then he struggled for a few weeks, and now he's pitching really well again. So good to see he's an option out of the pen later in the year, potentially, especially if somebody goes down with like an injury or something. I could see him being an option. Now moving over to Richmond, they played Erie. They went 2-4 this week. Last week, 24 and 27 on the season. Hayden Birdsong pitched in 2 outings. He's their number 6 prospect. The first one was really dominant. 6 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 5 hits, 6 strikeouts. Through 71 pitches, 46 for strikes. Second outing, he struggled a ton. 2 innings pitched, gave up 4 runs, only 2 were earned, 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. You get let down by your defense a little bit. Couldn't get out of the innings. 60 pitches, 35 for strikes. So it was a rough outing, but overall on the season in AA, he's got like a 2.1 ERA or 2.2 ERA right now. He's a guy that I really think should get moved up to AAA sooner than later. He got a good run in AA last season, and now so far the first few months this season. So I could see him getting moved up. I think he's a guy that may be on the top 100 list before too long. I really like him. He's probably one of my favorite pitchers in the system. He has 3 pitches that all play really well, and he shows them at almost every single outing. And he's tough to hit. He struggled a little bit in spring training, but when you can throw high 90s and then you have a nasty splitter and curveball, that the curveball he's comfortable throwing for strikes, and he gets a lot of swing and miss, and he buckles a lot of knees on guys when he throws that. That's a weapon, and I could see him being really, really good pitcher down the road. Number 13 prospect Grant McCray. He was the Eastern League Player of the Week 2 weeks ago. He struggled this past week. 3 for 21, a triple, a double, and a walk. Still not stealing bags. I feel like every week. I'd like to see that change, but not yet. He still has plenty of that speed. When he hit the triple, he moved really quick around the bases. So I don't understand why he's not stealing bags this season. It's kind of concerning, but I can't help but wonder if he's just battling some injuries. Number 15 prospect Vaughn Brown, 1 for 13, a home run, 7 strikeouts. It's same story every week with him. He's got some power, swings and misses a ton, and he keeps, he can't seem to heat up. He's hit a wall in AA. Hopefully, I'm always rooting for the guy. Hopefully he can turn it around, but it does not look good when you're 26 years old and you've hit a huge wall in AA. Number 19 prospect Victor Barracoto, 3 for 14, a home run, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Overall, he's trending in the right direction, but he just has not heated up with the bat yet. He's a guy that hit 27 home runs in the minors last season. He hit his 4th of the season this past week. Produces some of the craziest exit velocities in the system, but he's struggling in AA. There's no doubt about that. And hopefully he can get going because he has a lot of exciting tools with the bat. So hopefully he gets going, but he's still young, so lots of time for him. Number 23 prospect Adrian Sugiste, 3 for 14, a double, 4 strikeouts. Not really known for his bat, but overall this season he's been okay with it. And the glove is playing well, which that's the important thing with him. I think he's at best a backup down the road. So we'll kind of keep an eye on him and see how he continues to progress. Number 26 prospect Jairo Pomares, 3 for 13, a home run, a double, a walk, 7 strikeouts. Tons of swing and miss, tons of power. Like that's the other guy in the system that probably has as close to premium power as the two guys I mentioned at the beginning of the video in Luciano and Eldridge. But lots of swing and miss. And he missed like all of last season and he missed the early part of this season. So this is almost his spring training for him. You know, he comes into the league and everybody else has been playing for a while and he's kind of coming in cold. So hopefully he just keeps improving as the season goes. Number 30 prospect Carson Ragsdale, 4 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 7 hits, a walk, 6 strikeouts. Lots of early struggles in that outing. He's kind of been up and down this season. He was having a really good year in his last 2 outings. He's gotten kind of lit up a little bit. It's ballooned his ERA quite a bit. Moving over to Eugene, they went 2-3 versus in Hillsboro. 26 and 23 on the season. They had a game get postponed and rained out on Sunday. Not sure if and when they'll make that up. Number 18 prospect Diego Velasquez, 5 for 18, 2 strikeouts and a stolen base. He continues to swing the bat pretty well this season. Number 24 prospect O'Neill Perez has struggled the last couple weeks. He went 2 for 13, a double, and 4 strikeouts. Quinn McDaniel also has been struggling the last few weeks. 2 for 19, a double, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. And then Will Bednar, their Giants first round pick back in 2021. He threw a couple rehab outings in San Jose. I think he threw 4 and he threw the ball well. Through his first rehab, I don't know if it's a good rehab for this one or if he's actually going to just be in high A, but they bumped him up to high A. He went 2 innings pitched, no earned runs, a hit, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. So they're limiting his pitch count for right now. I think they're just trying to kind of move him up and make sure he's healthy because he's battled a lot of back injuries. And then hopefully they'll start stretching him out down the road. Or they may decide he's better suited as a reliever. So we'll kind of see what they do there. But good to see him throwing the ball well. He's got the life in his fastball again. The off speed is still really good. Changeup and slider are really good. So I enjoyed watching his outing. He looked sharp. Hopefully he keeps progressing. I wouldn't be shocked if they try and move him pretty quick through the system. San Jose Giants 3-3 versus Fresno. They're now 29 and 21 on the season. Number 3 prospect Bryce Eldridge, 4 for 15, a home run, 6 strikeouts. Swing and miss is still there. He's still swinging the bat pretty solid. The home run was really impressive. Came off a lefty, hit it to straightaway center field. Listening to Kyle Haynes' interview with, or reading Kyle Haynes' interview with, I believe it was Baggerly last week. I was disappointed to see that they plan on keeping Eldridge in San Jose all season. I don't know if it's just like exposure to professional ball, and then maybe they'll try and be aggressive with them next season. But I hope he forces that issue a little bit. I hope he gets on just an absolute tear and forces them to move him up, because I don't agree with just babying every single one of these kids that comes through the system. But we'll see what they do. I don't get to make those decisions, but that's just kind of what I've been seeing. Number 10 prospect Joe Whitman, 5 innings pitched, 6 earned runs, 8 hits, walk, 5 strikeouts. Guy's been a roller coaster this season, up and down a lot. We'll see kind of how he progresses, but with his history, that means probably this week he'll throw the ball really well, because that's how it's been for him all season. So he definitely could use more time in San Jose figuring it out, because you just, the opposite end of the spectrum, you're not going to rush these guys that have zero consistency and really aren't dominating the level they're at. Number 25 prospect Cole Foster, 2 for 12, a walk, 3 strikeouts. He came back from injury, so we'll see. I always give some leniency to these guys when they first come back from injury. Take some time to get back in the flow of everything. Number 28 prospect Jonah Cox had his worst week of the season easily. Went 3 for 19, a double, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. No stolen bases for him, which is odd because he has about 26 on the season now. So kind of a rough week for him. Like I said, the hitters in the system did not have good weeks this week. Number 29 prospect Josh Bostic, 4 1/3 innings, 3 earned runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. He's had an okay season kind of to this point. Uh, Lots of struggles. So we'll kind of see how he ends up progressing. I haven't really had an opportunity to watch him throw a ton, so I'm going to have to try and dive in on him a little bit more in the future. But that's how his week went. And then a couple rehab guys. Wade Meckler is rehabbing in San Jose. Went 3 for 24, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. Even with the struggles, I'd imagine he's going to be up in Sacramento before too long. Number 12 prospect, Trevor McDonald, 3 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 1 hit, 5 strikeouts. That was in the ACL league. I could see him being up in either AA or AAA soon when he finishes his rehab, but he's throwing the ball really well. He's a guy they protected from the Rule 5 draft this season. So he's on the 40 man. They clearly like him a lot. He throws high 90s with a wicked slider, so he's got a lot of potential. And then Walker Martin, their number 4 prospect, 4 for 16, had a 2 home run game, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. I still don't know if the plan for him is San Jose like sooner than later, or if they actually want him in the ACL. He has had no professional ball experience up until this point because he had an oblique injury that cost him the end of last season and then the early hamstring injury this season. So we'll kind of see what their plan is. He's striking out a ton, but like I said earlier, if a guy comes back from injury and hasn't been playing competitive ball in a long time, this is not uncommon. You see this pretty regularly. And then Ryan Reckley, I actually added him in 1 for 3 with a strikeout last week. He's a former top international signee. So just wanted to give some kind of an update on him. That's all I have for this week. Catch me tomorrow on NorCal Sports Network. I'm going to try and post 3 or 4 videos this week on this channel as well. Dan and I will have our live show on Thursday. So catch that. It'll probably be about 2:15-ish Pacific time, 2:30, somewhere in there. So catch us there. But that's it for today. Go Giants and have a good one.